Happy Monday. Welcome to Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Hope you guys had a great weekend. Happy belated Mother's Day to all of you moms out there. And I appreciate all of you who sent me messages of well wishes yesterday on Mother's Day as well. It was a wonderful day. So I'm really excited about the show today because, so often we talk on the show about how, DEI is rotting corporations from the inside out. I mean, it's extended everywhere. It's not just on college campuses now. It's not just affirmative action. It's like everyone has a diversity requirement. And by the way, if you're white, you're screwed. And every time another story comes out, whether it's the FAA wanting to hire they're like, we want to hire mentally incompetent people and also people with violent histories and also definitely not white people, basically. Or maybe it's Mark Cuban literally saying he's planning on violating discrimination law by saying he is going to hire based on race and gender. My commentary is always someone needs to sue. OK? These woke monsters are not going to be compelled out of these hiring practices by convincing them out of their woke ideology, or I would say at least convincing them to drop the act, pretending they actually believe this garbage and aren't just doing it for virtue signal points, which I would say the vast majority of them, the Mark Cubans of the world, don't believe any of this. They just want the virtue signal points. But regardless, as I often say for the issue of, the genital mutilation of children, this won't change their radical ideology, but they'll stop if they're threatened with going bankrupt. They'll stop if the money train runs out. You want to discriminate against straight white people, someone's going to sue the hell out of you. And that is how we stop this. Well, someone is doing just that. I want to introduce you to Sarah Spitalnick. She is a former law student who is suing King Spalding, a major law firm that posted a job application online that stated candidates, quote, must be ethnically and culturally diverse or a part of the LGBTQ community to apply. You can't do that. It's illegal. And the EEOC has given her the green light to pursue legal action in the form of a determination letter stating she did, in fact, have reason to believe she was discriminated against. Welcome to the show, Sarah. I'm so happy that you're here. I am so happy that you are doing this. I have been calling for this for so long. Why are we not suing the hell out of these companies? And you are doing just that. Tell me how all of this started.
Well, thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here. But what happened was I was looking for a summer internship for my 1L year, between my 1L and 2L. And I was on our job posting site and found this site, which actually worked well for me because in undergrad, I worked a lot with diversity groups. That was part of my major. So I was like, I'm perfect for this. And then I read exactly what they wanted. And I was like, well, I'm very white and I'm very straight. So I'm not any of that. So I immediately filed with the EEOC because I was really angry. I remember calling my mom, telling her like, oh my God, who does this?
Right.
And I can't believe it's okay. So I filed with the EEOC, and now 3 years later, after a position statement, a response, going through mediation, we finally got the right to sue, and they found reasonable cause that King Spalding did discriminate against me based on my race and sexual orientation. And now we've totally sued, and we're ready to hit the ground running with everything.
That's amazing. And so just for reference, this took how long? 3 years?
About 3 years and a week, because I filed originally like February 4th, I believe, or February 5th. And we got the determination letter and the right to sue on March 13th.
Wow. I mean, just think about for a second. Now, you're saying when you saw it that back then, 3 years ago, a little over 3 years ago, say, you were shocked. Would it shock you if you would it shock you if you saw it today? Because it feels like since then, this happened to you 3 years ago. It feels like since then, it's just been ramped up to an unprecedented rate where it's just like everywhere you turn, they're just blatantly violating discrimination law.
Yeah, it's getting worse and worse. Like, I don't think we've gotten any better since 2021. And just King Spalding's reaction to the entire EEOC charge just showed they don't care. And they thought that this was no big deal. And I was just complaining about nothing and that they were doing nothing wrong when it's blatant blatant violation of Title VII at minimum.
So they denied all liability then?
Yeah, they denied all liability. They used all different arguments trying to say that this wasn't employment and it wasn't paid and all this other stuff. And the EEOC could obviously see right through that. And so could me and my attorneys. And that's why we ended up filing the suit.
So just for reference here, too, I mean, I would imagine the time span of 3 years, there are a lot of hoops that you have to jump through with the EEOC. They have a lot of complaints. I'm sure there are a lot of Karens out there who don't actually have a case like you do, and they just want to complain anyway. And so they've got to sift through all of these different complaints. But I read that the EEOC actually greenlighting a case such as the way that they did yours only happens in like 2% of all EEOC complaints. Is that right?
Yeah, most of the EEOC complaints they get that actually get to a decision phase, like they don't mediate, they don't settle, only about 2% actually get found to have reasonable cause that they think that this was discriminatory employment practices.
Wow. So what happens next? What's the next step?
So next is my attorneys will have the King Spalding served. They'll have 30 days to answer, and then we move on with the regular court processes. So we do motions and discovery, and then, if nothing happens, we go right to trial. Wow.
So it's just getting so ridiculous, Sarah, that, I mean, I'm saying this a little bit jokingly, but kind of not, that don't you imagine what is the meeting like if you actually apply for this position? Or do they ask you like what sexuality are you? What percentage are you of minority? Like, what in the world would this look like if someone were to go in and they had questions about it? How can you prove these things?
Yeah, you can't really prove your sexual orientation. I'm pretty sure that's the whole case law behind it.
Right.
Keep behind closed doors so no one can judge you.
Right.
Apparently now that's not the thing, even though the law doesn't agree with that. And like minorities, before they said, if you were like 5% Black, you were a minority. And now it's like, oh, no, I don't think that's enough. Like
right.
The standards are ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just gotten so crazy. So tell me, you're suing them. Tell me what are you suing for? What do you wish for King and Spalding to do now?
So we have sued for both monetary damages and then injunctive relief. So the injunctive relief is to stop them from doing this ever again and to issue a public apology and a few other things relating to that. And then the monetary damages are due to any kind of suffering I dealt with. So the loss of pay I could have made in that internship, the eventual pay I could have made if I was hired as an associate, and just the mental damage and emotional distress they cause, because I don't like going online. And this is the first time trying to get a law position. And I'm told that because of my sexual orientation, my race, I'm not allowed to apply. Yeah. And that threw off a lot of what I wanted to apply for. I'm like, well, does that play in? Should I, apply to things and keep hidden my sexual orientation and my race or my religion? So it really threw off really how I could apply for a lot of jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. And of course, with characteristics that you can't do anything about. You can't change the fact that you have white skin. You can't change the fact that you don't happen to like women. That's unchangeable. So I commend you in all of this. I appreciate what you're doing. I hope that you win for everything that you are asking for, because this is not going to stop until more people say, you cannot do this. I am suing. And like I said at the beginning of the show, these people, King and Spalding, this is a major law firm, correct?
Yeah, they're a huge international, billion-dollar law firm that's been around since the 1800s.
Right. So, I mean, they are huge. The amount of experience that you could have received at that law firm under their wing, had they given this position to the most qualified rather than, to the most gay, I don't know, then you could have potentially gotten that experience. So I am 100% in your corner. I appreciate it. It sounds like a lot of work. Obviously, it's taken you over 3 years to get to this position. And, I'm sure that it's also not cheap. So I commend you. I appreciate what you're doing. More people need to stand up and do this. And, I would happen to also know your attorney, John Gross. He is also my attorney. And I would just like to say you are in very good hands. I think he's going to take great care of you in this particular case.
Oh, he's a phenomenal attorney. I wouldn't have trusted anyone else with this. And we also have Eden Quentin, that's also co-counsel. And both of them are phenomenal. I mean, they're amazing attorneys. I can't imagine having anyone else represent me, especially as being an attorney myself. You know, I'm very specific on my attorneys, and the two of them are absolutely amazing. They're actually starting a nonprofit that's going to help do cases that deal with political impact cases that, you know, you may not make a lot, but they make a huge difference in the country.
Yeah.
So they're both really excited to start doing that and really fighting for every person in America, not just who the ACLU deems as appropriate.
Right. Yeah. This is how we change things, I think. Follow the money always. Sarah, will you keep us posted?
Absolutely. I'm an attorney. I'm an employment discrimination attorney myself. So
Great.
I love being on this side of it because it gives me an idea of what my clients deal with so that when they come to me, I can represent them to the fullest and from every point of view. I'd love to, you know, help anyone that has been faced with unlawful discrimination who shouldn't have to deal with that.
Great. Yeah, it's always helpful when you are you're like, well, I've been the client in these cases, so I kind of know what you're dealing with here. So, Sarah, thank you so much for joining us. We are fully in your corner. Let us know what we can do to help you, and we look forward to a favorable outcome.
Thank you so much. I hope everyone keeps fighting and that we can hopefully bring this to an end at some point soon.
Yes. Amen, sister. All right. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, more people need sue the hell out of all of these woke companies. It doesn't matter if it's the children's hospitals that are chopping kids' healthy body parts off. It doesn't matter if it is an employer who is openly being racist and saying if you're white, you need not apply. It doesn't matter. Find an attorney like John Gross or someone else that, you know, is in your area. Find an attorney that will take on your case and sue the hell out of these places. They cannot get away with this stuff. So we got to go to break. We'll be back with more. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Preborn. So as we sit here today, the lives of babies are still, you know, in the womb are still hanging in the balance. And people may think, well, Roe versus Wade was overturned, so the fight is over. No. It's not. It is still happening. Abortion. Every single day. And what Preborn is doing is they are empowering young expectant mothers in crisis to actually choose life. This is how they're doing it. Ultrasound. When a woman considering abortion visits a preborn center, she gets to hear her baby's heartbeat and she gets to meet her baby on ultrasound. And those of you who are parents, you know this. Those of you who just celebrated Mother's Day, it's life-changing when you hear that heartbeat and you see your baby for the first time. And the majority of time, she's going to choose life for her baby. I am so proud to be affiliated with Preborn. They are also, I will just say, you know, the left likes to always say, you guys just want the babies to be born and then you don't want to care for them afterwards. Well, Preborn is actually proving them wrong in that regard as well, because they are helping not just the babies, but the women as well up through the age of 2. They are there for these women and they are doing everything that they can to save babies, but they need your help. $28 is the cost of an ultrasound. How many ultrasounds can you sponsor? How many babies' lives can you save? Please donate securely over at preborn.com/Sarah. That is preborn.com/Sarah. All right, we got more fun on the way. I want to introduce my panel. Steve Baker is in the house, of course, Blaze Media's investigative journalist himself, along with Blaze TV contributor Matthew Marsden, actor and producer extraordinaire. I'm glad that both of you guys are here. Thanks for joining me on this wonderful Monday. I want to remind you guys, those of you who are watching on YouTube, make sure to tap that like button. You can just give it a gentle tapping. We like the gentle tapping from time to time. And make sure to comment and make sure you're subscribed, because almost every day I hear from someone who says, it unsubscribed me. I don't know how I didn't unsubscribe, but I am unsubscribed. YouTube's very tricky about that. So make sure that you are subscribed and then go over to where you get your audio podcasts, subscribe, rate, and review the show. And you may see your review read live on air. I want to read a couple of them right here before we jump into the news here. Here is one from I think it's Sergeant SGT 56. I absolutely love the show. I absolutely hate the new theme music. Next time, don't contract out to Bollywood for the music.
Oh.
I love it. So it's staying. Okay. One more. They gave me 5 stars, so I said I'd read it anyway. Listen, it's very easy.
Constructive criticism.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can write mean things and I'll still read it. Just give me the 5 stars, okay? One more here from LBD7778. Absolutely love the new show. Glenn's theme music was definitely not the better fit. Please let Jason know that Matthew Marsden is tied for my new Blaze crush. Matt's blue eyes and, oh, that accent. LOL, keep it up. So happy for you. Lori F&D.
I'm going to take it. I'll take it all day long. Yes.
So I need to have a show where I have you and Jason on and we just give him shit the whole time.
The whole time.
That he's been superseded by you. At least for Lori F&D. So I look forward to that.
And that's all that matters.
So I want to go through some of these headlines here. Did you guys see the Donald Trump rally in New Jersey over the weekend?
Oh, yeah.
Holy crap. There were reports suggested anywhere between 85,000 to 100,000 people on the Jersey Shore. Those of you who are watching can see just this vast crowd just all packed in to go see Donald Trump speak. I just want to, New Jersey, okay? New Jersey. And New Jersey Republican Representative Jeff Van Drew called the rally the biggest political gathering in state history. New Jersey, of all places. Should I be thinking positive?
All I can say is that Matthew and I were talking about it in the makeup room before we came in here, is that if these people that are gathering in these bluish or dark blue areas and states don't start getting more active in, well, kind of what you and I talked about last week, it's time to start showing up, not just for a rally. Yeah. They've got to start making impact where it matters. Yeah. And I hate to say it, and I'm saying it again, just like I said last week, I'm not suggesting anything, but if these equal and opposite activists are allowed to shut down events and allowed to shut down schools and allowed to shut down highways, bridges, then maybe they should shut down some courthouses. I'm just saying.
Control room, do we have the clip of Lawrence Taylor? If you can, okay. Yeah, so even NFL Hall of Fame linebacker Lawrence Taylor was there, and he was basically like, I was a Democrat my whole life. I voted for Democrats until this guy came around. And they're just, I mean, they were coming out of the woodwork in New Jersey. And it just really, to your point, Steve, if they all show up. Now, you would think that they would, because why are you going to wait in line and go stand out there in the sun and be packed in like sardines to go watch him and then not go to the polls in November and cast your vote? I mean, you would think that they would. I don't know.
You would, but you know, what's really important about this, and again, like we spoke about it inside, is that, and we keep going on about it all the time, about how you have to get involved. Like, you have to get involved. But this matters because you become undeniable, right? You become absolutely undeniable. They can't go on this time and go, I mean, there's no way. Look, I don't care what anyone says. There's no way that guy, 81 million legitimate votes, there's not a chance. The other guy, that's what I'm saying. No way he got more votes than Barack Obama. It's just impossible. I don't care what anyone says, and you can call me whatever you want, but that's just the way it is. But what this does, number one, is it makes people feel more emboldened to step out themselves. Right? We said this about COVID, is that if people actually stood up, if there were more people standing up against the tyrannical actions that the government was taking, then they would stop it. Like, people have to understand that you do actually matter. And the whole thing about January the 6th was about cooling that off. It was about shutting people down. It was about saying, look, you cannot, you go out to this and you exercise your First Amendment rights and you are going to be shut down. I'm sorry, you're going to be shut down anyway. If we don't get Trump in, it's over. I mean, I think in years gone past, look, me coming over here from the UK, I'd always hear on on news shows, this is the most important election in our lifetime, blah, blah. And you'd be like, is it really? Is it really the most important one? This really is the most important election in our lifetimes. It really is. Like, we are not coming back from this unless that guy gets in. He's got to get in. Yeah. Or it's going to be irreversible. I really think. Are you
saying George Bush II wasn't more important than Al Gore?
Do you know, I sat behind him once, Al Gore, on a plane. He's got a massive head. he's like, head, you, head, Dune. Look at the size of that boy's head. It's like an orange on a toothpick. It's got its own weather system. He cries himself to sleep every night on his huge pillow. Al Gore.
I was about to go there and you beat me.
Well, that's a lot of hot air in between ear to ear, I would say. So, okay, so over the weekend we saw this massive rally, which was heartening, I would say. But then we also saw an Axios article that, you know, of course, take it for what it's worth. It's Axios. But they did report that several anonymous sources were saying that the Trump campaign was considering Nikki Haley as an option for vice president, which, you know, you read it and you're like, I mean, he did not have kind things to say about her when the primary was still in full swing. And that would be very awkward to think that he would just be like, you know what, let's let bygones be bygones. But then he posted shortly afterwards on Truth Social, Nikki Haley is not under consideration for the VP slot, but I wish her well. Which I was surprised that he even wished her well, to be honest. But so then it becomes who? Who is this person going to be? And I cannot wait until July, which they've speculated we might not find out until July. I cannot wait until July to find out who he's going to choose. I mean, obviously, it needs to be strategic. I get it. I would love Senator J.D. Vance because I like him. But I don't think that two fire starters would work well together. And also, he doesn't pull anyone from the middle in.
No.
So then who is that person?
It's got to pull a woman. It's got to pull a minority of some sort, right? Or
isn't that so annoying?
It is annoying.
Like, why do we have to play identity politics?
We have to think that way because these margins, as they are finally given to us, are going to be so. Oh, right. He's got to win by 10 points in order to win by 1.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Yes.
So
yes.
Let's just call a spade a spade.
Right.
That's what's got to happen.
Yes.
So that means that we have to play that game, unfortunately.
Right.
And I think that as all of the potential candidates that I've gone through in my head, I can't land on one.
Can't either.
Oh, I can.
DeSantis is not happening.
No.
Who?
Really? Who?
I said last time I got crap for it.
I don't remember.
Bring it.
Tulsi Gabbard.
That's right.
I'll give you crap for that one.
We'll give him crap.
Yeah, I'm going to give you crap for that one.
You can, but I'm right.
Right.
You're allowed to throw things.
I don't care what any politician says to me. I look at their voting record, and she had a 7% Liberty score.
Ooh.
7 during her time in Congress.
Oof.
Not 70 like Speaker Johnson. She had 7. Lower than Hillary Clinton.
Oh, that's bad, Matt.
But we all like to think that people can change. Look, here's the thing. She is smart. I mean, she absolutely destroyed. Was it that she was on the debate stage with? She absolutely destroyed Kamala Harris, I think, which isn't really that difficult.
When she was running for president?
Yeah, she destroyed her. She was very good. She's attractive. She's a star, whatever you think of her. And I think that really, does it really matter who the vice president is, really? I mean,
when
really,
you're talking about 2 80-year-olds, yes.
Yeah, but I think it's more important that Trump gets in, and I think that we get all caught up in it. Like what did Mike Pence do, really? I mean, look at Kamala Harris. What has Kamala Harris done? Like nothing. Thank God.
Well, right. But I mean, when you're talking about, again, like I don't wish anyone, to die before it's time for God to call them home. But like, let's say Donald Trump gets in and is inaugurated, and then like the next day he kicks the bucket. And then we have President Tulsi Gabbard for 4 years. That doesn't scare you?
No.
But
because
why?
Because I think that winning right now is more important. And I think that he needs to have a woman. And I think he needs to pull people across. And you think Nikki Haley's any better? I mean, she's
no. I'm not here to like argue in defense of Nikki Haley.
Look, at the people that they've spoken about, I think she's going to be the one. I do. I
see, because I just don't think that anyone who is broken from Donald Trump is going to vote for him regardless. Like, I don't think that they're gonna say, well, all right, he's got Tulsi on the ticket, I'll vote for him. A lot of these people that you hear from, they're just broken. Like, he has just completely broken them. And I don't know if there is a candidate, a vice presidential candidate that exists that would make them say, I hate Donald Trump with every fiber of my being, but I'll vote for him because of this person. I just don't, I'm not even sure that person exists. We're so divided.
The only person ideologically that checks one of those boxes for me is Larry Elder.
I do love Larry Elder.
I like Larry a lot.
Yeah.
And if I was advising Trump, that would be my choice.
That's actually a great choice. And he's just vanished from the conversation because he was running, wasn't he?
In California.
Yeah.
For governor originally. And I think he briefly announced in the primaries, but it didn't go anywhere. Couple of days.
That's actually a great suggestion. Okay, so anyone who has a line into Donald Trump, if you could just float that would be great, because he hasn't been mentioned on any sort of short list. In fact, since we have to talk about, some sort of identity politics here, they keep talking about Tim Scott. And I'm like, please, for the love of God, do not pick Tim Scott. He is so corny. No one's going to be able to stand him. He came off as so unlikable in the primaries. We do not need Tim Scott. So if you're going to have to pick someone who checks a box, I would much rather it be Larry Elder. Wow.
And Larry's super, super smart, and he's very conservative. So I mean that would be a good call.
Very libertarian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is what I like.
Right. Okay, so let's go ahead and we're gonna take a quick break here, and then we are going to be back with more. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, MD Hearing. So, what shocked me, so my husband, I'm sorry, Stephen, I'm going to tell on you. So he actually has a hearing aid. And it was shocking to me that, first of all, I think that he lost his hearing because I was yelling at him all the time. Is that true or false?
I'm not going to go there.
I'm just kidding. So what shocked me was how expensive these things are. I mean, they're like thousands and thousands of dollars. I was like, no one can afford this. What is going on? So I was so happy to hear about MD Hearing here, because hearing aids are typically very, very expensive. MD Hearing is not that way. Okay, they actually just cut their price in half, despite everything else rising. Everything else that you're buying right now with inflation is rising, but they've just cut their prices in half, and they've made their new Neo rechargeable digital hearing aids only $297 a pair. That is over 90% less than clinic hearing aids. It fits all the way inside your ear. Nobody knows it's there. In fact, Stephen is probably mad at me because I just told his secret, because you can't see it. No one, Matt,
can't see it, no.
Yeah, Matt had no idea. I was like, what? No. Because you really genuinely cannot see it. So don't think that it's going to be these giant things that everyone's going to see and all that. It's not a big deal. It fits inside your ear. And with MD Hearing, you're going to save a ton of money. You can go to shopmdhearing.com. Use promo code Sarah to get their new $297 when you buy a pair offer. Plus, they're adding a free extra charging case, $100 value, just for the listeners and viewers of Sara Gonzales Unfiltered. Go to shopmdhearing.com. Use promo code Sarah and get that special now. We'll be right back. Dozens of students walked out of Duke University's commencement ceremony over the weekend to protest guest speaker Jerry Seinfeld over his support of Israel during the war. And I mean, he's Jewish, so I would expect that he would support Israel, but you're not allowed to do that, apparently. And so I want to play these students walking out during the middle of Jerry Seinfeld's speech. Watch.
Jerry is also serving as our commencement speaker today.
This little cute little morons taking their moment, carrying their little flag. Now, I would like to point out, so some people are booing. But later on, apparently the crowd started chanting Jerry and were, of course, making more noise than, those booing. And then there were also reports that said that the people who were booing were actually booing the students walking out. So not quite clear who the booing was intended for, but the overwhelming majority of the students, of course, were happy that that Jerry Seinfeld had come to do that. I just, I watch these people on their graduation day, and I'm like, really? And all this time, your parents didn't teach you better? All this time?
I actually live in Durham, North Carolina. So I'm right around the corner from Duke University. And I can tell you that this was one moment, because normally we refer to that campus as kind of like Little Moscow. And then across the Interstate 40, 10 miles away, we've got UNC Chapel Hill, which we refer to as the People's Republic of Chapel Hill. So we've got, this is not just, basketball mecca, college basketball mecca. You can come to the same exit on I-40 and take either a right on 15501 and go to Duke, or a left and go to UNC. They're that close. And so watching that, when it happened, at first I was like, oh, not again. But then all of a sudden, I realized it was only about 30 kids that did that. Yeah, they got booed. Small. Jerry got up there. He was never interrupted once. Nobody chanted him down or, interrupted his remarks. It was very non-ideological. It wasn't political at all. It was like a dad giving funny, advice to his children is what it was. And it came across great. And then following a little bit closer, I realized that Duke has rules. And there was a reason why there's no encampments there. There's no Chaz, no Chad. There's no Antifa on that campus. And that's why. They actually have rules against this. Well, that solves it, doesn't it?
What a novel idea, Steve.
Yes.
Wow. You mean to tell me if they actually set rules for these morons, then they'll actually, think twice before they break them? Shocking.
Fancy that.
Yeah.
I mean, look, this whole thing is because people, these little people who clearly haven't been taught how to think for themselves, want to be a part of something bigger. That's what they want. If you take God or meaning out of their lives, they want to be a part of something bigger. And this is it for them. But again, I say this, I think, because we get a lot of these, we get at least one a week of some ridiculous student protest, is that if you're not sending your kids to private Christian colleges, then it's on you. It's your fault, to be honest. Right? That's what you got to do as a parent. What matters is not just these moments, because I think these moments are windows into the 4 years that your kid has been at these institutions and the people that they've been around. Right? So, yes, they're obeying the rules, but it doesn't mean that, like you said, these little communists there aren't having an influence on your children. Or moving them away from the values and morals that you brought them up with. So it's really, really important to send your kids to somewhere where morally they're going to be with their peers, like people that are going to reinforce what they believe.
And I'm definitely not saying that Duke is that university, because it is not.
Right?
I mean, their medical school there is leading the nation in lopping children's genitals off. So this is, they're starting younger and younger and experimenting there. This is maybe little Berlin right now.
It's not a testimony in favor of sending your kids to Duke, no. Certainly. So on the topic of all of these college campuses and higher education, I came across a headline that said nearly half of all master's degrees are not actually worth getting. And so when you look at there it is. So when you look at it says, 23% of bachelor's degrees programs and 43% of master's degrees programs have a negative ROI. So why are you sending your children to Duke or, Harvard or all of these places? Columbia, we've been talking about, because the protests and the encampments have been so prevalent there. We looked it up, $83,000 a year. $83,000 a year that you're spending for 4 freaking years And that's if your kid does well. If you got a kid that's like, kind of on the short bus a little bit, you may need to pay another year. And that is all so they can come out and not have a positive ROI. And on top of that, be completely indoctrinated into all of this woke ideology. Why? Why would you do it? I understand if it's like not a doctor that's lopping children's genitals off, but a specific, like, you have to go through medical school or you have to go to law school. Like, you have to go through these things if you want to be a certain profession. I understand. But just the run-of-the-mill, English degree or whatever, it's like, why? Why? You're setting them up for complete failure in life, I feel like, at this point. Well, I think on multiple levels.
Yeah, what we've done is we've kind of taken it that this is the process that you go through. You go to school, graduate high school, then you go to college, then you go and get your master's, and then you come out and you've got, if you're lucky, you have $250,000, $300,000 of debt, and then that makes it impossible for you to start a family, right? And so, and I've said this for a long time, is I'm a big advocate for trade schools.
Yes.
A big advocate to go to a technical college and learn how to be a plumber, learn how to be these trades are being looked down upon, and it's ridiculous because, like you say, you come out and look, I went and did a BA in performing arts, right? But I did make a living out of it, actually, but I am like a very, very small percentage of that, and I have gone off and done a business degree as well because I'm not stupid. But I think that we really have to emphasize more the trades. And because you can come out, even let's just say, even if you went to film school, let's say you went to film school and you went to NYU, and it's about $80,000 a year for 4 years. You come out and they send you to the bottom on a film set. Right. You are a runner. Right. You're working. So then you have to go through your apprenticeship. It doesn't matter. What you may as well do is take that money, go and make a short film or make a movie, learn on the job, and then at least you've got something you can sell, right? Then you've got something tangible, and then go and work through the system anyway. But we've got this thing, we have to break this, that you send your kids immediately, they go off to college. Right? Why are we doing this?
Well, I think that it's breaking itself, honestly. I mean, I agree it needs total implosion, but it's breaking itself because the cost of everything is rising. People can barely afford to pay their mortgages and fill up their gas tanks, and then you want to ask them to pay that amount of money to send their kids to college. It's just not going to become feasible anymore because the tuition rates are rising every single year. Everything is getting more expensive. Colleges are not immune to that. So then it becomes like, okay, so I literally can't afford to send my child to your indoctrination camp. It's not even a choice. I just literally can't do it. And I mean, last point, and then I want to get you last word here, Steve. I also have a degree, right? I might use some skills that I had in electives. I don't know, but my degree was in criminology, and my minor was forensic psychology. Am I using that every day when I run my mouth for a living? No.
Maybe a little bit of the forensic.
The psychology sometimes I'm like, maybe it's helped me read people, but I feel like I just already have a very high intuition anyway. So I think that was why I was interested in that. So I don't use it. And I'm telling my kid, he's 11 and we talk about college and I'm like, I don't actually know that that's going to be your path. It might not be. And that's okay. We can explore other options because I just think that they are breaking the system itself. It's unsustainable.
I think that I should not get away from here without saying something nice about UNC Chapel Hill as well. Did you see this morning? We just learned that they have decided, because of what had just took place on their campus with the encampment and all of the protests, they're going to divert and transfer some of their DEI funding over into campus policing.
Really?
So they're breaking themselves. They're pushing. They're going over the edge, so much so that even these far leftist administrators, and of course follow the money, they know they will lose those students. They will lose because the more of these, let's call them conservative, light, frat boys out there that protest against this, type of crap that they were seeing on campus, well, those parents might send them elsewhere.
Yeah.
They might send them to Liberty or to Hillsdale.
Right, right. Exactly. As well they should. All right, let's go. We got to take a quick break. We'll be back with more. But first, we want to thank our sponsor, Jace Medical. So, look, the 2024 Atlantic hurricane season is actually likely to be really destructive and really costly. Great! In case you were wondering how you could afford stuff, it's going to be costly. Awesome. And it also has the potential to be one of the most active on record. Meteorologists have called for 24 named storms with winds of 39 miles per hour or more, and 11 hurricanes with winds up in the 70-mile-an-hour range. So I'm just saying, now is the time to think about stocking up on your critical medical supplies for emergency situations. We talk about emergency food all the time, but people don't think about making sure that they have medication on hand when it's needed. That is why you need the Jace case. It has 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use, and all you have to do is go fill out a simple form online. You'll have it there ready in case you need it. There's a bunch of add-on options as well, like EpiPens and ivermectin, so you can customize it to your family needs and get a gift card if you have adult children and they have their own family so that they can also do the same. Jace Medical just wants to empower people to be able to take their health into their own hands. Go to jacemedical.com and use code Sarah. That is JASE medical.com. So at this point in the program, I would like to just say, Steve, remind me to never piss you off. Because Steve has the latest expose out on theblaze.com on Harry Dunn. And Steve just keeps going and going after these people. So make sure that you read it. Why did a powerful veterans PAC endorse Harry Dunn, phony hero of January 6th? And I want you to kind of elaborate on this. But so out of 22 candidates, including 3 combat veterans, this PAC, Vote Vets, decided to back Harry Dunn.
Yeah, who is not a veteran.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, just yesterday, he picked up another endorsement from another military PAC. This one is, both of them are progressive political action committees, but there are progressives in the race who are, in fact, war veterans. One is a West Point grad, Gulf War veteran. Other 2 guys that are in there have also seen combat in Afghanistan and in Iraq. And the gentleman I interviewed, one of the opposition candidates to Harry Dunn in the primary, Maryland's 3rd district, his name's Juan Dominguez. And he said, look, I would have been happy if Don Quinn, the other veteran, or happy if, I forget the other guy's name, I would have congratulated them for getting the endorsement. He said, but this is reprehensible. But he said it also points to the fact that Harry is the anointed one. He's the alleged hero of January 6th as a former Capitol Police officer. He's the guy that got all the accolades. He started the interest in himself when he came out and said that he had been chanted the N-word at him, 20, 30, 40, 50 people. That's a quote, by the way, which never happened. And then from there, with all the attention he began to he began to escalate his stories into tales of daring do and all these acts of heroism, never thinking that we would get access to the Capitol CCT video, right. And then find out that not only did not a thing that he ever claimed he did heroically ever happen, he spent most of the day hiding. We're going to show that. Now we've done some video, vignettes already, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever. But we're developing a day in the life of Harry Dunn, and that's coming.
But if you are promised to be the Democrats' puppet, then you too can get money funneled to your congressional campaign, I guess, is the moral of our story.
And you get Nancy Pelosi's endorsement, and so you get the dark money, and you get a book deal, and you get a presidential medal, you get a congressional medal, you get all of this. But all of this is payback, not just for those things that we're talking about there, but also for the trial perjury, which was most important when they framed the Oath Keepers, and he and David Lazarus came up with their little story.
Right. So, I mean, as long as you are lying for the right people, you will be rewarded for that behavior.
So why aren't the people that are running, that have been pushed into 2nd place or pushed off, why aren't they changing their allegiance? Because clearly now they know that it's corrupt.
I could tell you some things off camera that were off the record that I can't talk about, but they're upset. I mean, they are. And look, we're talking about a field full of Democrats. And certainly we're not aligned with them, philosophically, politically, ideologically. But like, for instance, Juan Dominguez, West Point grad, good man. Good man. And he's horribly upset at, as he called it, the dark money that's being funneled that way right now. And he said it is what it is. And he said it. And he said it's corrupt. And it is a payback. And it is exactly what we would think it is. And I'm trying to avoid saying the things that were off the record.
Maybe if we keep asking him questions, he'll accidentally slip. I want to know, Steve. I want to know all these details. Okay, so I'm going to guess that you're not done exposing Harry Dunn.
No, we're
That's what I'm saying. I don't want to piss him off.
We are not done with Dunn, and we're not done with the Capitol Police. We're not done with David Lazarus. We're not done with D.C. We're going to dismantle this thing if we have to, take it apart one limb at a time, but we're going to do that. And we're going to show ultimately that these trial perjuries were the result of summation of perjury by the DOJ itself. That's where we're headed. Did you hear me? Did you hear me, Matthew Graves?
Well, I mean...
Did you hear me, Merrick Garland?
I just know whenever you are on my show, I'm like, they are definitely watching this one.
Yeah.
What up, DOJ, FBI, NSA, all of them. And anytime I text with Steve, I'm like, I should expect that they are reading these text messages right now. So... I hope Donald Trump gets in and burns all your departments to the ground. Mark it.
That's why they've made me a single issue voter this time.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't come into this a Trump supporter.
I know.
They made me one.
They made you one.
But what happened to you should make every single person a single issue voter.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right.
And that's what we're talking about, getting involved. They've got to get involved. They've got to understand that they're going to do this to absolutely everybody.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
Exactly right.
We got to take a break. We'll be right back. So we didn't have time for this earlier. I want to play. We talked about Jerry Seinfeld's commencement speech. Here is some of that. Watch.
So on my staff in the 90s, we had a lot of Harvard guys. They were fantastic, but I could never understand why these guys were so embarrassed about being from Harvard. They would never talk about it. They would never mention it. I'm not talking about Harvard now. I'm talking about the way it used to be. You're never going to believe this. Harvard used to be a great place to go to school.
You're right. I don't believe it. You are absolutely right. You know what I always am fascinated by? That, like, I read that he got an honorary degree for giving the commencement speech. Is that not strange?
No, that's pretty common.
But he didn't do any work.
Glenn Beck's got an honorary.
I know. I'd say the same thing about him.
Seinfeld.
I'm like, right, but like, can you actually, is that degree worth anything? You didn't do anything.
He earned it over time.
We're all open to it.
Did he?
We're all open to getting one.
All right, I'd take one if